Gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick, and here it comes. Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Welcome into Defeating the Curse. My name is Joe. I'm joined tonight by Stevie on mic 2 and our pal, the 2-0, the 20. Big fan of the 49ers is on mic number 3. It should be a 3-man show. We may end up adding a few more people along the way. I know Mark Gray's listening, and I think he might want to chime in. I think he had some insights into the name. I'm actually really trying to avoid talking Washington football team here, boys. I really don't want to talk about them, especially in light of the greatest weekend of football in my entire adult life. And I don't, these aren't empty words. This is not hyperbole. This is my honest and true feeling about what I watched this weekend. The 4 games that I watched were, you know, you could certainly argue that the first 2 were good, above average, almost amazing games, right? They all end, almost every game ended right by a field goal. But the football on Sunday was so good. It was so good. And the only thing I will say is that as a Washington football team fan, the Warhogs or the Rainbows or whatever they're going to be called, we are so far away from being in the category of the teams we saw win and lose this weekend that we shouldn't talk about them. We will talk about them on February 2nd, and then we will not talk about them for a long, long time. Stevie, I give you a hard time. I give you a hard time because I know you don't watch all the sports. How much football did you watch this weekend, and how good was it? It was so good, Stevie. It was so good.
I watched every second. Maybe the first 20 minutes of the Bengals game was getting back from Andy's Pizza. Shout out to Andy's Pizza, Bowlaroo and Tyson's.
Lovely sandwich shop is going to be upset with you.
Hey, you can't replace the sandwich shop, okay? But Andy's.
How many times have you been to the sandwich shop?
3 in the last 72 hours. That's not here or there, though. We're supposed to break down football. We're supposed to open a box score, look at stats, do all that. Find someone else to do that, okay? Find another show to do that.
I mean, it won't be you. It won't be you.
It won't be me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to appreciate beautiful football, which is what we saw. And beautiful football doesn't always look pretty, as the Saturday night game showed us. That Niners-Packers game was not pretty, but it was football, and it was beautiful. And those guys were fighting, and they were playing hard, and the weather sucked, and it was close, and it was competitive, and it was strategic, and it was back and forth, and that's beautiful football.
Hold on, before we talk about the Niners, can we just talk about Joe Burrow for a second here? We got to talk about Joe Burrow, right? He is the perfect example of what happens when you have competency at different levels of management in your organization. You make the right pick. He comes in as a rookie, gets injured. Nobody panics. He rehabs. He comes back. They draft a stud, true, legitimate number 1 wide receiver. You know, at his, I'm assuming that.
I don't know how you're going to talk about Joe Burrow without saying I picked the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl.
You did.
How are you going to say? How are you going to
pick the Bengals? You've been on the
Burrow.
Bengals. Listen, the Bengals got a real shot, Stevie. They got a real shot. But I mean, they handled the Titans. Derrick Henry, the Titans. They laid an egg. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about the Titans. Tannehill. I will never understand. I will never for the life of me understand why, when you have a solid running game, you get in the red zone and then you try to get cute with the dink and dunk passes. I will never understand it. It's one thing if you're a bad football team or if you're gimmicky or your running back is hurt, but you've got Derrick Henry back. He can, even if he picks up 2 or 3 yards a clip, you're going to find your way into the end zone. That pick that he threw late in the game in the red zone was so on brand for Ryan Tannehill. I don't feel bad for the Titans. I feel great about the Bengals, though, and the way they played. And I think they deserve a ton of credit. I mean, Jamar Chase catches balls 4 yards from the line of scrimmage and ends up 30 yards down the field. He catches balls 25 yards down the field, and then, you know, he runs for another 15 or 20. Like, I don't want to make the Terry McLaurin comparison or lack thereof, but
oh my God,
he's a different caliber.
Talking about the football team.
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay. I want to give you credit for picking the Bengals. I'm curious if you're going to ride them again this weekend. You think they got a chance? Can they beat the Chiefs?
You're not going to let me bury the lead here. They absolutely have a chance. I think the Chiefs. I don't know how they come out of that battle and play back up to that same caliber. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like they emptied the tank.
It's a yes or no. You got them. You got them winning. Covering.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I do too.
I do because I'll say this again. 20. You should know this by now. The best team doesn't win the Super Bowl. The hottest team wins the Super Bowl.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Right now, the Bengals are the hottest team, kind of, along with the Chiefs.
I don't know. I think the 49ers are smoking hot right now. Yeah. 49ers are literally on fire at this moment. And the Green Bay stuff we can circle back to in a second, but let's give some credit here to the 49ers. And 20, lifelong 49ers fan. We'll never know why, but that's fine. It's your team. It's your team. I would imagine you were on pins and needles going into that game. They settled in very, very quickly. Debo is a monster. Yeah. I mean, and Shanahan called a perfect game. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting game. It was decided, obviously at the gun. But, I mean, you're a fan. You care a lot more about the Niners than I do. I mean, Garoppolo, the 49ers have a ton of questions as far as how they're going to proceed from this point forward, regardless, win or lose. And we can talk about some of that stuff. But for the game itself, you were one of the few that were confident that the 49ers would outright win. We picked, I think Razzle and I put in an away team parlay, and it almost hit until it didn't. But the 49ers looked so good, even in a low scoring, kind of unexpectedly tough matchup for them. I mean, Aaron Rodgers just struggles against the 49ers, but you're Mr. 49ers. So the floor is yours. Go ahead. Take your victory lap.
Yeah. So, I mean, actually, before I get to them, I'm going to agree with you guys about the Bengals. I think they actually make it to the Super Bowl. I don't really trust the Chiefs, and I think they're gassed after this game. And if it wasn't for Bill's poor management that last few minutes.
Few minutes is 13 seconds.
Yeah. I mean,
13 seconds.
Management, and yeah, they probably would have won that game. So as far as the Niners go, yeah, I mean, you're right. I was on pins and needles, but I knew we had the game in the bag when we went into the half, and it was 7-0. And I hate
this wee bit, by the way. I just got to say,
well,
but that's fine.
That's my team, so I feel like I've been with them forever, so I feel like I'm part of the team. You keep asking me why I'm a fan. I've answered this question before.
Joe Montana is my hero.
But anyway, but yeah, our defense definitely showed up, and to my shock and surprise, our what's it called? Our
offense, special teams,
our special
Debo, Shanahan.
Our special teams is what got the job done, and we only scored on special teams, and that's shocking to me because our special teams has been horrible all year long. So for them to actually get this win was amazing to me. Rodgers looked a little flat. I don't know, something happened to him.
Rodgers and the Packers, I mean, Rodgers is going to be the topic of conversation moving forward, right? Is he going to stay in Green Bay? Is that situation, have they patched things up? If he's going to leave, where's he going to go? And he's got some options. I mean, he's got some options. There's another quarterback that might be on his way out too, but the Packers are in a difficult spot. I mean, do you keep Rodgers and let Adams walk? Do you try to keep both? Do you reload on defense? What do you do if you're the Packers after, a season that should have been, it shouldn't have ended the way it did. But frankly, much like the Titans, the Packers just didn't look good. They didn't look like themselves. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, how many more Novembers and Decembers do you want to play in freaking frozen, disgusting, cold Lambeau?
That's why I have a bold prediction. You ready for this? Next year, Aaron Rodgers, starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
No, there's no freaking way, guy. It's impossible.
He's a free agent? Why?
It's literally the stupidest thing.
Why?
I'm going to mark this so I can clip it out of the show, actually.
Go ahead. But why?
It can't happen. It can't happen.
Can I save 20 from himself here?
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's frozen. Go ahead.
He's frozen. Okay. Listen, all I want to say about the 49ers, okay, is, and Joe, I'll go back to you because you love talking about the WFT guys. Watching number 71, it's like a spurned lover, okay? He's like a spurned lover that you let go of.
Your
and you
eyes
never
just
get
go
back,
to him.
okay?
My eyes just go to him.
I mean,
And I
seeing
yearn for the days.
seeing that boy in motion, okay, when they put him in motion and you see that train coming down, who's standing in that boy's way? I mean, Trent Williams is a tough SOB, man. That guy, he was in the X-ray, room afterwards. Apparently, he was on crutches. I don't know what his status is for Sunday, but him and Debo, I mean, they look like those old videos of like Lambeau Field in the '60s, where all the guys were bruised and battered, and Debo's getting crushed on that last play with the ribs, and he took it down there. Those are some tough SOBs, and those guys stepped up and played a heck of a game. And so the Niners, but let me give you some real analysis, okay? When Matt DeMet walks in, I got to give you some real analysis, okay? So let me give you something. If you think about, because Joe, somehow you love talking about teams that are still not in the playoffs. I don't know why. Talking about the teams that are actually in the playoffs, what do these teams have in common? Debo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Jamari Chase, and Tyreek Hill, elite wide receivers. I'll give you another one. Just be quiet. Nick Bosa, Melvin Ingram, Frank Clark, Ingram. Damn, I lost my.
You're on a roll.
Whoever's on the 49ers defensive line.
Look at your notes.
Warner, Nick Bosa, Warner.
Nick Bosa, elite pass rushers, and then a quarterback that can make plays with his feet and with his arm. These are the common threads: stud wide receivers, great pass rushers, and elite quarterbacks. How many does the Washington football team have?
None.
Why
0.
are we still talking the Washington football team?
I don't know, but Joe loves doing it. So I'm speaking his love language.
We said limited to none of the Washington football team. But I want to go back to the Aaron Rodgers bit. Okay, Stevie, do you think he will? Just really quick, do you think he'll be in Green Bay next year? Yes or no?
No.
Just yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Where?
And
What do you think? No, don't say no. Just where? Where do you think? If not Green Bay.
I think he's a California boy. I don't think the California team you picked will come calling, but I think he's a West Coast guy. Depends on what.
There's only so many options though on the coast. I mean, he can't go to the Chargers. He can't go to the Rams. Can't go to the Niners.
Not sure what Vegas is going to do with Derek Carr, but if they have a chance to take,
but I think he applies the same logic that Brady did. Like, why would you go into the AFC where you have to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Allen for years and years and years to come? I think the NFC is the right move, but I mean, I think you're
gonna predict what an anti-vaxxer is gonna do. This guy's a lunatic. Okay, come on.
Where's better for an anti-vaxxer than Florida? Tampa Bay's got it open.
Maybe Texas. Maybe Tampa.
He'd be the starting quarterback in Mar-a-Lago.
I mean, Tampa would be interesting. You think Brady walks away? I mean, we'll get to the Brady thing in a bit, but Tampa, I just can't see him doing it personally. I think if he goes to an AFC division, it's got to be the AFC North. That's the poopiest division in the world. But does he really want to play for the Colts or the Texans or no? I don't see it happening. I just the only Denver makes sense, but again, you've got to deal with Mahomes and Allen. Like I feel like you've got to find yourself a landing spot in the NFC Colts if you're going to do it. NFC South is the poopiest of the poopy, and maybe the NFC East doesn't really have a good landing spot. So maybe it's the Saints, but they're in cap hell. I don't know. I think he ends up staying exactly where he is. I think he's it's the devil,
Yeah, no, he's definitely staying. I don't think he's going to leave.
You just changed your mind?
You
10 seconds ago, you were like, he's going to the 40. The 49ers apparently they're done with Garoppolo. They traded everything to get your boy, what's his face? What's his name? What's the donk they just drafted?
Who you talk? Oh,
Justin Fields.
Trey Lance?
Or Trey Lance. Sorry, Chicago. Sorry, Trey Lance. Like, there's no way they can move away from both of those guys in one offseason. It's impossible.
He said he's talking about Brady.
I was talking about Brady. We said Brady.
We were talking about A-Rod.
Yeah. No, A-Rod's going to the book it. And Trey Lance is not ready. He's just not ready. He's too young. He's not ready.
Neither is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Does Rodgers want to go somewhere where they've got somebody they're grooming already for the next to come in 2 seasons? I mean, I don't think he jumps in on that.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, I opened the show by asking the boys, like, was this the greatest weekend of football in your lifetime?
Bar none. Bar none.
Yeah.
The NFL needed a weekend like this. Honestly,
true.
like
Yes.
they first of all, 17 week NFL season too long. 7 teams in the playoffs unnecessary. That first week of playoffs was kind of terrible. And like, granted, my team is terrible. The Giants are terrible, and they were still alive in week 14 or whatever it was. So like, there's some benefit, but when you saw the product, it was up until you were praying that the games actually lived up to be what they were, and they far exceeded, man. Like, I mean, every game just topped the one before it. And last night's game, I don't know that there's, I've never seen anything like it like that. I never want to see defense again. Like I just think like just let quarterbacks go out there and try to score a touchdown in 13 seconds or less, and just make that the NFL going forward.
Matt, you can call me a blasphemer for this, but great football is better than great baseball, which great baseball is significantly better than great basketball. But great football is nothing like it.
Yeah, I think so, because it has an end point, right? And so like the thing about yesterday is you were trying to figure out how is this going to end? Like with baseball, it can drag, and even some of the greatest baseball games, 14, 15 innings, like who's got time for that, right? Like at this point, you knew this was coming to an end. You knew there was 2 minutes left. You knew Mahomes had to do something, and then Allen, and then Mahomes, and then Allen. Like you just had to figure out what's going to happen
But the
next.
biggest, I mean, I think that's an interesting question, Stevie. Like, I mean, playoff baseball is a different type of, it's a different type of intensity, and I think there is a certain charm to it as well, that it can go forever, right? With the NFL, I mean, the big talk today was, do they need to revisit the overtime rules in the playoffs? Is it okay for a team like, I mean, all these teams that lost at the gun, they lost at the gun in regulation, but when you go into overtime in the playoffs, this deep in the playoffs, could you make an argument that both teams should at least touch the ball? Like maybe 2 consecutive scores in a row in a fifth quarter equals, I don't know. They got to, like, I think the NFL overtime rules are perfect as they are right now today. I can understand Buffalo fans and football fans saying, hey, this is the Super Bowl. This is the best game on the possible. Give us another quarter of this, not this sudden death stuff. But, I guess conversely, like Buffalo has a defense that is paid to stop the offense or hold them to a field goal and then give your team a chance to go down and win. But I don't hate the idea of like a fifth quarter where both teams touch the ball, but if one team scores twice in a row, then it's game over. Like, I'm open to it, but I honestly don't think it needs to be tweaked. I'm just curious. Do you guys have a strong opinion on this? I think I'm okay with it the way it is, but I understand the argument for a fifth quarter.
No, I'm kind of agreeing with you, the fifth quarter thing, but I thought you said one time, was it you that had this idea of just have them just kick field goals and like penalty kicks and just keep moving them back? And
yeah,
that's a stupid idea.
That sounds like something that maybe came out of Razzle.
But for me, it's go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with you up until I thought, you know what, this is fair enough. You have 60 minutes, you should be able to win the game. Let your defense stop them. But what I realize is that whoever wins the coin toss, I feel like.
Hold on. I know what you're gonna say. Statistically, it's not a lock.
No, it's
52%.
It's like 90%.
No, it's 52%. It was covered extensively today.
Fact check him. He's wrong.
52% of teams that win the coin toss score a touchdown on their opening drive. 52.
But for me, the solution is simpler. Like for me, the solution is one possession each. Third possession wins. Now at that point, you really can't whether they score.
Then you get the college playoff where you end up with like 70 to 75.
No, it's the next position. Yeah,
but this is the equivalent of the walk-off. That's why baseball guys should love this. I mean, this is the walk-off home run. This is Kelsey in the end zone, and then the celebration begins. There's nothing better than this.
It really stems from just the desire to see Allen with the ball one more time. I like the way that game went, I think is the only reason that anybody is beating that drum. I do think though that the overtime rule is fair. No, look,
to be fair, I think it's because the better team lost. I think that's
Well,
why there's so much anguish.
It's hard to
right
call
now.
them the better team when they gave up a touchdown in 13 seconds and then give up another touchdown within
Which
a couple
quarterback played
minutes.
better?
Allen, but Allen's not the team.
Which
I know in the
quarterback would you rather
NFL,
have?
Allen.
Patrick Mahomes. Stop
No.
asking dumb questions.
No,
That's-
you're the only one that
that's
said
not-
Patrick Mahomes.
That's not an easy.
Then the other two are wrong. Are
That's
we
not
going
an
to
easy
talk
one,
about
too.
the 13
Yeah.
seconds?
We will.
we-
There's one game we got to get to before we get to that game.
Ugh.
Okay, but I want to close this conversation here. Matt, you had a thought on the overtime. Like I actually think Steve just made a very good point. I mean, that's the beauty of what we saw yesterday, right? It's the equivalent of the walk-off, right? It's the buzzer beater, the last possession. I mean, you did exactly what you needed to do to win the game within the confines of the rules. You went the length of the field, 75 yards, and you scored a touchdown.
But one thing about the walk-off. Walk-offs are only in the bottom of the inning. So the team gets an at-bat in the top of the inning, right? And even if they put up runs in the top of the inning, the home team still gets a chance to bat again in the bottom.
It's a backhand across Steve's face.
Yeah.
My point
It's
is
fighting words.
one shot each. And if they walk off after that, they walk
So
off.
how would that play out, Matt? So the Chiefs get the ball, they win the toss, they get the ball, they go down, score.
They get the
Allen and the
touchdown.
Bills would have to match, or the team, the second team would have to match, and if they do, then they kick off, and that's it.
If they do, they kick off to the Chiefs, and they have to stop the Chiefs.
Next score.
And if they
wins.
don't stop the Chiefs, the next score wins.
I feel like that's kind of the same thing, right? It would you going into overtime.
Yeah,
But
except
you're
you're
giving
giving
the-
them you're giving them that one the other shot to depending on what the other team does. So you're
Or
saying
the
Same
other team,
disadvantage, right?
or imagine if the other team could go for two and walk them out without giving Allen and the Bills the ball. Then Mahomes, Andy Reid would
Four
have a
and
decision.
two, and it's over.
yeah, scoring
Yeah.
two and it's over. Exactly.
So then you say,
You're
like,
at-
should we give him the ball or go for two and risk
That
it
would be
all?
an interesting
Yeah.
wrinkle, because then it's like, can we get this 2-point conversion and walk off,
Right.
or do we miss it and have the chance of then losing because they score a touchdown and kick a field goal?
And if
Or
you
an
literally
extra point.
can't stop them and you
Wow,
don't want to
Stevie,
give them the
that's a
ball, you go
twist.
for two. There it is. One possession each, one, and then best team
I
wins.
don't know. I
after
think
that.
the rules are, but I personally would vote to leave them the way they are. I don't think there's not enough to show that teams that don't start with the ball in the playoffs are at an actual disadvantage. Like, again, you're paying these players money on defense to stop the offense. And what we saw yesterday in that game, and we'll come back to this game, but they couldn't stop them with 13 seconds on the clock, and they couldn't stop them, and to start the overtime set. So, I mean, that's it. Like, I under the way the rules are right now, I think it's more than fair. I think it's more than reasonable.
Good
as well.
enough.
But, yeah, good enough. Better than what it used to be, which is just go 15 yards and kick a field goal. So,
But do you think if the Bills won last night, let's say they won the coin toss, they received the ball first, they go down and score, would we be having this conversation?
I think you probably would be, because these are the two best teams remaining in the tournament, and this was arguably the best matchup possible, the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, I think you're still having the conversation. I think if they go down and kick a field goal and the Bills touch the ball and then still somehow lose, no one's talking about it, right? But it's because of the drama. I mean, the last 2 minutes of that game were something else. And again, we'll come back to this in a second, but I do want to talk about the other game, which was the early game on Sunday. And we talked about the Bengals winning at the gun. We talked about the 49ers doing almost the unthinkable and going into Lambeau in the frozen tundra and winning. I think the 49ers have a ton of decisions on they got to figure out what they're going to do with Jimmy G. You can't say that he's the problem when you make it to 2 Super Bowls potentially, or you qualify for the postseason more frequently than you don't. I think they're possibly going to upset. So we'll talk about that in a second. That's why I'm saying 2 for him. But the early game on Sunday, that 3:00 Sunday, which is a weird start time, that game didn't disappoint either. I mean, the Rams looked great to start, typical Sean McVay. Brady looked Hall of Fame-ish, right? Down the stretch, pieces you've never heard of, catching balls all over the field. And
the Rams gave that game away, almost gave that game away. I mean, they fumbled and lost the ball several times. Like, Brady for sure deserves credit. He's always going to get the credit. But I couldn't believe what I was watching. It's as if somebody's like told the Rams, like, try to lose this game as quickly as you possibly can.
for us.
Yeah, keep it. It's terrible. But
Well, I mean, the Cam Akers fumble at the end of the game, right before the Bucks' last touchdown tie it. That was inexcusable. And Ndamukong Suh strips the ball. Cam Akers has played a great game. Incredible what he's doing coming back from the Achilles. But yeah, I mean, Brady looked bad. I don't think there's any other way around it. He looked old. He looked bad. He looked out of sorts. He also looked like a guy who didn't have any weapons. He's forcing the ball to Gronk. He's forcing the ball, to some prehistoric dinosaur at tight end. He's trying to get people involved. He had nothing.
Well, that dinosaur looked like a dinosaur too. I mean,
he looked bad.
He looked old.
But again, this is what GOATs do. I mean, this is what legends do. They find a way to be in it. They were in it, and I think the breakdown from today, I don't know if you all saw it, but Bucks had a major miscommunication on that last play to Cooper Kupp going down the field. Levante David was talking about how they thought they were cover zero, so everybody was blitzing. He didn't. Half of the people thought it was a cover zero. Half of the people thought they were in coverage. So huge miscommunication on the biggest play of the game. Stafford found Kupp. Incredible. I mean, the Rams are the better team. They deserve to be there. They tried to give it away, like Matt said, but they couldn't.
No, they have been in games like that all season long, where they'll start off very strong and then eventually they'll just kind of fizzle out. But to your point about Brady, he was pressured like no other. You got those two guys, and they are just nonstop after him. And if Brady does not do well with pressure. He does not like being pressured. Not that any quarterback does, but
07 Giants, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So they just completely him up. But
that's true.
Yeah, and then finally he just came together there towards the end, and the Rams just they got lucky on that last play and then that blown coverage.
Well, I mean, the Rams were the better team, and Stafford was the better quarterback. Stafford is the better quarterback right now. Stafford, I mean, he's almost unrecognizable from the guy he was in Detroit, at least to me. I mean, he still has some funky plays and some bad decision making from time to time, but he's got the arm that McVay wanted. Check. He's got the ability to kind of do multiple things with the ball at any point in time. He can make every pass on the field, which, I mean, most quarterbacks can do that, but he's also found a way to keep, Beckham quiet for the most part. Right. And OBJ played a good game too. Kupp deserves the praise, but OBJ had a really strong performance. And Steve said, Akers had a very strong performance as well. I mean, this is a team that is very well built, very well coached, sound defensively for the most part, although they definitely looked shaky in the fourth quarter there, against Tampa. My observation though was really more of Brady post game. I think we may have seen him play his last snap.
No,
I think so.
No.
I think he looks around and look at what they would have to do. They did something that no other team in the history of the NFL has ever done last year, which is bring back 100% of its roster. They didn't lose a single piece last year.
Yeah.
And they added a couple key pieces through the draft. They lose Chris Godwin. They lose obviously Antonio Brown in the middle of a game. He just quits in the middle of a game. So they lose some key pieces. Fournette they got back, and he looked good in the beginning of the season. He looked serviceable towards the end here, obviously yesterday, but Gronk isn't able to do what even early season Gronk is able to do anymore. He just looks fragile. He looks like the next hit's gonna it's like in Mortal Kombat, like fatality, like Sub-Zero is gonna shatter into a million pieces. He just looks frail. Yeah. And I think Brady's gonna have to do some real soul searching. He can probably turn up the pressure and get the Bucks to reload with a couple pieces here and there, maybe grab, another veteran receiver, whatever. But I think he's done. I think if I was in his shoe, I don't know if there's anything left to do. And why not go out now instead of risk having a 500 season or miss the playoffs and then go out, which is where I think the Bucks are trending.
I've never been a Brady guy, but I'm of the mind you've done enough, man. And honestly, I don't want him to sully his career beyond that. I don't want it. Watching him get hit, watching him under pressure, watching him not have tools to throw to, it's kind of why are you still out here, man? What do you do? You've done it all. You are the best of the best. I feel differently about Rodgers. I still feel like Rodgers has a lot to prove. I feel like the last when did he win his Super Bowl? 04 or 5, right? Like 06, whatever it was. I mean, we're now
Rodgers?
15 years since. Yeah,
Also 2010,
I think it was 8. Hold on.
I thought. Was it 10?
still we're about 15 years from Rodgers' last major accomplishment as a Super Bowl. He's a great quarterback, but I actually think he needs to be out there to kind of for the legacy, which I actually hate legacy talk in general. I think a great quarterback is a great quarterback. Rodgers is a great quarterback. Brady's the best of the best. I'm not a Brady fan, but I actually don't think he needs to do anything more than what he's done. And I actually think what he did this 11, what he did this season is actually a testament to how great he is, because the Bucs were pretty broken throughout the season. And then they were devastated by COVID for a while. Like they've had all kinds of stuff, and he kept them afloat for much of that season. Still had about a 4,000 yard, like, which I know everybody throws for 4,000 yards now, right? Like the guy still put up the numbers. The guy
he's
still
50 years old. Like he's not.
But that's my
supposed to be
point.
doing
There's nothing more to do. Like you've done it all. I think.
Yeah, but Matt, there's nothing Brady can do that would sully his legacy or ruin. I mean,
no, I disagree. I disagree.
Well, Joe, if you want Exhibit A, I point you to Jordan, Michael, 2001 to 2003 here in Washington, D.C., where the brother looked like he was playing church basketball with me and you, okay? Ain't nothing a guy could do when they get to that level. Jordan proved that, and he tried to sully his
That's fair. There's no ruining what he's done, but at the same time, like, I don't want to watch that demise. Like, I'd rather he leave now and be great. And just
I think we've seen a lot of players, maybe not. Okay, Jordan is a very good example, but I mean, Robert Parrish switched teams like 50 times towards the end of his career. Patrick Ewing played for the Sonics, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you know, like these guys. Look at Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson's played on half the teams now. So
it's different though.
So who cares? You don't remember Ewing as a Sonic or Robert Parrish as a Bull or whatever. But it doesn't take away from their greatness. These guys are neurotic.
I don't disagree, but I think it tarnishes him leaving the Patriots and going to the Bucs tarnishes it just a little bit. Now he won the Super Bowl, but I mean, how would you feel about him going 500 or missing the playoffs and then calling it a career? At least here he says I got beat by a better team. Then just there's nothing left to prove.
He's a neurotic, narcissist competitor that's insane, that cannot step away from the game.
Can he do it if he loses Leftwich as his coordinator? Can he do it if Arians is replaced as the coach? Can he do it if he doesn't get Goodwin back or Godwin?
No. I think Tom Brady and Giselle will sit down in the offseason and will take a calculated look at, can this team rebuild and reload quickly? If they can, they'll go right back in it. But I mean, he's going to be calling the shots. Who's the GM? Licht or whatever. Exactly.
Last year, to your point, he had Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown.
Goodwin or Godwin?
Good. I don't.
Godwin. I think it's Godwin.
Godwin. Right. So he had a plethora of receivers. This year, he had Gronk, some of Evans. I think I saw him out there a couple times. I don't know. So I don't know what happened, but his whole thing is right now for Brady to be, and I'm not saying he needs this, but if the pieces aren't around him, it's not worth his time to show up, right? And so I think it's on the Bucs.
Well, I mean, millions of dollars. I mean,
no, the difference is in basketball they show up because the physical toll isn't as great. Brady's risk getting his head taken off. Jordan was sitting in the post shooting fadeaway jumpers for 3 years, yelling at Kwame Brown. Where's Kwame Brown?
Kwame dropping fire on TikTok.
Don't talk about Kwame.
He's killing Braun, isn't he?
Well, I mean, Kwame actually had a hot take about how the Wizards didn't actually want to draft him, and they got stuck with him. They drafted him to trade him. I think you sent me that clip, Stevie.
Yeah, he whooped Tyson Chandler's ass in one-on-one.
Yeah. And he said, as an 18-year-old, who could have withstand the verbal abuse as an 18-year-old that I did from coming from the best to ever do it in Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
He ruined him. Michael Jordan ruined Kwame Brown. It's impressive.
I think other things.
And then he gets Kobe Bryant on top of that. He went through a lot, dude. He saw a couple.
But he also got paid, right?
Yeah, and he got a championship. Did he get a ring? He got a ring with Bryant.
He got Mama's cooking. Yeah, he probably got Mama's cooking.
I think you're right, man. I think he got one with the Lakers.
I think he got one with the Lakers. Yeah.
No, he didn't win with the Lakers.
No. He got traded to Memphis for Powell.
Yes, that's how they won the championship when they had Powell. So
Yeah,
No,
he was
but-
on that terrible Lakers team with like Smush Parker and
yeah.
a bunch of other people I don't know.
Joe, you're not going to tell the story about how we were with him the day he got traded. We broke the news to him.
We were there, sport and
Wait,
help,
what?
Tyson's Corner. We were.
Call him.
Your boy was working. I snuck in half the group to come in and play some basketball, and they Kwame Brown and his agent roll in, and Tim. What was Jordan's trainer's name? Tim Grover. They come in and they clear the basketball court, and they're like it's MJ's guy, and MJ's on the Wizards at this point.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, who's about to walk into this gym in Tyson's Corner and hoop it up? And it's Kwame Brown and it's Chris Paul, if I'm not mistaken. It was both.
Kwame was taking he was doing this driller. He was shooting from the elbow, and he was probably 4 for 10. Okay, like we were doing it on the other side. We were crushing him.
So tall. I mean, like when you see him in person, like that. I mean, we were literally like 10 feet away from. He was huge as an 18-year-old.
He's a man child. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris Paul was. I mean, it didn't look like he was dribbling the ball. It looked like he had tucked it and was just running all over the court. He was so fast.
It's a young Chris Paul. But wait, so you broke the news to him, or
I feel like one of us told him he was traded to.
We were
who had the balls?
No. Steve's embellishing here a little bit. That later that day is when the trade was announced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't that. No, it's two different things.
Steve said, "Hey, Kwame, come into my office. Here.
Like, hey, meet me by the candy bar.
Meet me by the water cooler. I got
Come into my office. This is where I dry the towels for the gym members.
That's a pretty cool story.
Are we gonna get to the 13 seconds? Can I go on a little rift here?
Let's do it, Stevie. Okay, let's pivot. And talk about the greatest game, the greatest divisional game in our lifetime. I mean, that was a special game. It's a very special game. I felt terrible for the Bills. The Bills were the better team. The Bills deserve to win. Okay, I'll challenge anybody who wants. Stevie, you can keep taking Pat Mahomes as the best quarterback in the league. He's not. He's just not. Josh Allen is a better quarterback. He just is. I'm sorry. Maybe Pat's got the better coaching staff. You can certainly argue he's got the better weapons, but Josh is the better quarterback. That guy, I mean, he runs like a gazelle. His arm is so special, man. Some of those passes were just next level stuff, and the Bills deserve to win that game. Like, you leave 13 seconds on the clock. Yeah. That's not a real amount of time. Like, there's things that don't last 13 seconds in life. I don't understand. I don't understand how that happened.
Where the Bills lost the game is that 13 seconds. Collinsworth, I think, alluded to it, and I think Al Michaels mentioned it as well. Why no pooch kick? Yes. I don't understand. They kick it deep. Collinsworth mentioned it. If you pooch it down there,
6 seconds
it or whatever you call it, either one of two things happens. Either the returner will take a knee immediately to save the 13 seconds, which there's no way he'll be at the 25 by the time he takes that knee, so they'll be starting backwards, or he'll have to run up to the 25 or 30 and take off 3-4 seconds. The other thing is he might score a touchdown. So that is obviously the risk that you would incur. But certainly taking away 3 or 4 seconds away from Patrick Mahomes would have only given him 2 plays counting the field goal attempt, 1 play and a field goal attempt.
So look, I'm okay with the kickoff. I don't disagree, but I'm okay with the strategy to kick the ball off. What I'm not okay with is playing prevent defense 30 yards off the line of scrimmage when you have Kelsey and Hill out there who both have torched you all afternoon in the middle of the field. Like that is not the time to get cute with your defense. It just isn't. Especially after Kelsey catches the first one.
I disagree.
You can't let them do that twice.
I think Collinsworth was saying that you should have rushed more people. Now we're seeing this phenomenon when there's a Hail Mary situation. They blitz. They all out blitz to get the quarterback to rush the ball. That was the exact opposite strategy. You wanted Mahomes. You should have rushed 2 guys and put everyone in coverage. You wanted Mahomes to hold that ball as long as possible. He needed to get it out quickly to get down on the ground. At that point, they played it fine. You didn't want to play bump or press coverage on Hill, and then he goes over top of you. And
I don't think you can. I don't think at that point. I think you got to go double coverage or even triple coverage. Like Hill, when he torched them for that touchdown, Stevie, he literally outran 7 defensive players.
Yeah,
you cannot allow him to catch the ball in the middle of the field, especially. And they're going to throw in the middle because they got 3 timeouts. Like they're gonna work the middle.
That's where I was at. I don't understand how you give a guy like Hill space after what he just did to you. Like, why are you giving 20 yards to figure out like how to run and get past you? Like that guy doesn't need much space. Just look at the play right before. Like that's the part where I'm like, why are you not at least closer? Like this prevent defense is, but I was stunned at the kick, stunned at the defense, stunned, and then okay, you played prevent the first time. They did it again on the second one. Like I don't understand. You don't need like why are you playing that far back when at that point they need 20 or so yards to get to the field goal line, and they kicked it. There was a chip shot at that point. They gave up way past the field goal. Like it was, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I'm like, did we just forget like what literally happened throughout this fourth quarter? It was, I've never seen anything. We'll never see anything like that. I will never. Although somebody made a joke this morning that Mike McCarthy goes to Jerry Jones. 13 seconds. This game is over. There's nothing. They'll probably just run an option or something. so like, there's a difference between good coaching and having the talent and what you do with the 30 seconds, right? Like you saw the Cowboys, what they did with 13 seconds, and they got lambasted. And then you saw what the Chiefs did last night. And kudos to them, man. But the Bills dropped the ball on that. Like everything from the kick on was just. It was a disservice to Josh Allen. It was a disservice to everything that he had done, that he fought for. The throw that he made to Davis down the middle, like that touchdown. I mean, the man played out of his mind. They were going for 4th and whatever from the first drive, like right. It was 4th and 2.
Yes,
I think that they had a 4th and 13.
That's
13,
the future of football. Like, we were watching the future of football. Less punts, less stupid field goals, which get missed more frequently than they should. Just go for it. Just go for it.
I mean, Joe, you're going to go for it because that's the game, right? It's 4th and 13. You're normally not just going to go for it like that. But to Matt's point, I couldn't agree more with Matt. I was watching my TV, screaming at the TV. I'm like, why did you not do a swivel kick? And why are you playing prevent? I just couldn't understand it. And if I was that head coach, I would get rid of that defensive coordinator, even though they had like the number 1 defense, because somebody dropped the ball big time on that. And you don't want the head coach getting blamed. I'd get rid of the DC. That was just horrible. And the only, wish I had is that Allen was there on defense to help out, because he's just on fire. And you can't, like, to Matt's point, you also can't give Tyreek Hill any space. And there was nobody on that team that could cover him. And I was watching ESPN, and they were saying he hit 29 miles an hour running. Like, he's so fast. And there's nobody that could catch him.
But you don't expect him to. Well, I take that back. You should expect him to do that. You can't play him that way. Like you can't play the Chiefs that way. And our boy Abram is blowing up the feed here. You guys can't see all the chats. Abram, just call in the show. Just call in. We'll bring you into the. We'll bring you into the stream. There's no problem. But obviously we've known Abram forever. But like he's right. Bills had a top-ranked defense. They looked unprepared. They looked slow as the game progressed. The Chiefs were able to exploit it by basically just targeting the middle of the field. And again, for me, that last possession, 13 seconds, that's not a lot of time. And yes, we've seen crazy things happen. That might be the craziest thing I've ever seen. And the Bills to sit back and not, like, you can't, they have timeouts. They're not going to the sideline. They're going down the middle of the field. After that first completion to Kelsey, you have to double, bump, triple, do something. They just didn't do anything. And then, obviously they go into overtime, and we had that discussion about, what do you do with the overtime rules here? And again, for me, I like the way the NFL is set up right now with the overtime. I certainly understand Bills fans today that are saying it's not appropriate in the playoffs that the Bills didn't touch the ball or have an opportunity to go down and get a touchdown. I think the NFL needs to consider it, but ultimately, I think the way that they've got this whole thing set up is fine. And the stat that's going to, I think, for me, I came away just really impressed with Josh Allen. I mean, that was my takeaway. Mahomes is awesome. We've been watching him do this. The Chiefs go to their they're going to host their 4th consecutive championship game. You can't debate stats like that. You can't. That's greatness. That's the stuff of dynasty. Andy Reid certainly can do pretty much no wrong with that offense. Defensively, though, they can be exploited. And, I know Stevie is very big on the Bengals. the Bengals have exactly what can be used to exploit the Chiefs, which is crazy speed in a wide receiver, right? They can dish it. Can they take it?
Well, I'll tell you, going back to the Chiefs, the greatness of the Chiefs that I saw yesterday, which you talked about 4 straight AFC championships, the way they've adapted their offense, they were, for all we've known of this Chiefs iteration, they were big play bombs, down the field. Tyreek Hill, 70 yards, Hardman, big bombs. Now, again, Tyreek Hill had a bomb yesterday, but it was a catch and run after a 15-yard, slant or whatever. So the way Patrick Mahomes has evolved as a quarterback who is taking what the defense gives him and going through, I wouldn't call it dink and dunk. What we do is dink and dunk. What these guys are doing is taking what the defense gives them, matriculating the ball down the field. We're seeing 7-play drives, 10-play drives, 15-play drives. And they really, to see Jerick McKinnon come in and be that two-headed monster with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and those guys, it was just this very different pace. And I think the Chiefs are really set up. Now, Bengals come in. I mean, they're playing with house money. I mean, how many times have we seen this? A team that's got nothing to lose going into a front runner.
Matt can tell us about the Giants once upon a time.
Nothing to lose. Most dangerous animal is an animal that's got nothing to lose. Okay, you don't want to fight one of those guys. So that's where the Bengals come in. Joe Burrow, just let it fly. Get the cigar going and just let it fly. And at that point, if the Bengals can get consistent pressure on Patrick Mahomes, we already talked about it.
They can. The Bengals can play some defense. We saw
they
it.
already beat the Chiefs. I mean, so
they have beat the Chiefs, and they played really well against the Titans. I mean, the Titans, I know they're not an offensive juggernaut compared to the Chiefs or to even the Bills, but the Bengals did hold their own against them earlier in the season, and they did a number on Tannehill and the Titans. I mean, that offense looked extremely anemic on Saturday, and they forced Tannehill into a number of errors. And I think I think they can do it. By the way, guys, I'm going to pull a Brum in here in a second. He really wants to join the show, so I'm going to pull him in a second. We'll give him a second.
I think questions. We don't know the answer.
I think the Bengals have the kind of offense that is suited to beat the Chiefs defense, right? The question really is, and I think, can the Bengals defense hold the Chiefs offense? I think that's really the question here. I think Burrow is going to put up some numbers. I think Jamar Chase, Higgins, I think those guys are going to run. They're much like the Bills did early on. I think the Bengals are in a good place to kind of surprise some people. But where the Chiefs kind of showed their mettle yesterday is in their ability to endure and withstand and kind of keep on not being worried. Like Steve is saying, like, we've done this. We'll keep doing it. Let's dink and dunk them. Let's get it. Okay, what are we down? 7-3. We'll score exactly what we need. And the Chiefs offense, and like this is, I think, just because Mahomes has been great for so long now doesn't mean we should diminish his greatness, right? Like, let's not take it for granted that what he does, what he shows up to throws. He had a season that would not be up to par for him. But that man makes throws that people shouldn't be making, right? And he makes them in positions.
Yeah, but he gets cute too, and they get picked. And you know what? And the Washingtons played the Chiefs better than the Bills did, right? And that comment's been made a couple times, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna. Hey, 20. Can you do the TikTok dance? Can you do the Jackson TikTok dance for us?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I was gonna say early on in the season, the Chiefs were not looking very hot, and I didn't even think it was possible that they weren't going to make it to the playoffs because Mahomes was struggling. That team just finally clicked towards the end of the season, and they've been playing lights out. But if Razzle was here, he'd tell you the Bengals are a complete team, and they can definitely.
Thank you for channeling your inner Razzle. Every team is a complete team.
Yeah, but they definitely beat the Chiefs, and I think after this game with the Bills, I think the Chiefs are going to show up winded, tired. It's going to be a very good game for them.
Here, boys.
The Mountain Man is here. Fear the beard.
You have 2 minutes to say it.
I'm bundling it in. I'm going to bundle it in. So first off is first. Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time, right? Like, fuck Brady. Like, he didn't do in 4 years. What has Brady done, right? Mahomes is way better.
Just win Super Bowls.
Secondly,
but yeah,
let's count the hot takes, guys. Let's count the hot takes.
Terrible fucking defense on that team. They are single-handedly led by Mahomes and coaching, right? Like that. This is the.
Why do you have an accent?
It's not the Redskins, right? Huh?
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Very,
Mahomes is the
very,
greatest
very
ever.
fired up.
Yes.
You know. But anyway, so I guess my point is this, man. The fucking Bills defense lost the game for them, right? Like every fucking big defense showed up. Like some big defenses showed up and lost because of a weak quarterback, Tannehill, right? If Tannehill was any other guy, they'd be right there in that mix. But big defenses win fucking games, and a solid quarterback takes you over the edge, right? Like Mahomes is the one exception. He's the one exception. Brady won all of his titles with
Abram, would you rather have Mahomes or Josh Allen today? If you were building a team from scratch, you could have either.
Mahomes. Taking Mahomes, bro.
I don't know why that's a stupid take. I agree with him.
I'm not saying it's a stupid take. I'm just saying I disagree with it. I'm not saying it's a stupid take. I just like Josh Allen more. I think he's a better runner.
It's not a terrible take. I mean, Josh Allen and Mahomes are both the best fucking quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion, right? Number 3 is Herbert. All 3 young-ass guys. The NFL is changing.
I mean, I don't know about Herbert. I think Herbie's got a lot to prove. I think Herbie's – I mean, you're overlooking guys like Rodgers and Stafford and the amazing season that they've had, but –
Was he just –
bro? He's the future.
I would
just
say
2 or 3 years ago.
Those are the 3 best arms. You're talking about Herbert, Mahomes, and Allen. Those are the 3 best arms. Whether Herbert has mastered all the intricacies.
All right.
Oh, you're saying
I'm talking about as a GM, right? I'm general managing a team, and I want to build. Who am I going to build?
Don't forget
Joe Burrow.
Don't forget about Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, last I checked, can still sling the ball and can do everything you need him to do.
I didn't mention him for a reason.
All right. Okay. Well, look, Abram, while we have you, just take a second here. Catch your breath. Take. Who do you like in the
I was sleeping with my
upcoming
kid,
matchups?
commenting on your shit in the pitch black, and had to run downstairs.
Hey, listen, we appreciate that you're listening. We love it. What are your give us your 2 picks for this weekend? Give us your picks for this weekend, and then I want to know what your take is. What's the Washington football team going to be renamed?
Bro, I think it's going to be Rams and Chiefs, right? And the only way the Rams win is because of their D-line and fucking rattling up Mahomes, fucking with him early, right? Like rattling him early, getting back there. You got 3 of the best on a defensive line in the league, and then the second part is like, yeah, you got to rattle Mahomes, and then Cooper Kupp and Stafford show up, and they can win it. I think that.
Do you think the Bengals have a shot at upsetting the Chiefs?
To me, it's going to be. I don't think Burrow is going to beat the Chiefs. No, I think that the Bills had a better chance of beating the Chiefs than Burrow does. Burrow does in the Bengals,
and the Bengals probably would have had a better chance of upsetting the Bills.
I think the Bills were going to win the championship, dude. I was like, I would have put it on Bills or Chiefs to win it all. That's where I'm at. Rams and the NFC for sure. Like, I don't think the Packers are ever fucking legit. You know, like I'm in Denver now, and like Rodgers probably coming here. I don't even think we want him. He's a waste of money, bro. Get a fucking young buck.
Do you want Taylor Heineke?
I would take Heineke over Kirk Cousins.
No,
Kirk Cousins
you're insane. You're insane.
That's all right. He hasn't watched a lot.
I'm cutting the feed.
You know what $35 million a year does? It fucking depletes the rest of your team. You know, for a fucking mediocre guy. So it's like, unless they're approving,
they're all mediocre.
Rodgers,
they're all mediocre by comparison to what we've been watching. Also, Abram is yelling. I can't hear him.
Is a rich man's Kirk Cousins. He's a rich man's Kirk Cousins. And I don't want either. Yeah, I'd stick with Heineke, bro. Honestly, I'd stick with Heineke. Next Joe Burrow.
He's good with Heineke.
Yeah,
that's
Washington Alliance. Right yeah.
How many Washington games do you watching the games?
Yeah, no, Abram was at the Washington Denver game. No, he goes to a ton of games.
I was yelling out, "Let's go, Brandon!" when fucking Brandon McManus was kicking it.
Hey, that's my guy. That's actually Steve's guy.
Literally,
I'm down with the chant.
Screaming, "Let's go, Brandon!"
All right, everybody say goodbye to Abram.
All right, bye, guys.
All right, that was legit. Okay.
It's good to see him.
That was
nice we can make someone's Monday.
The character known as Abram was just joining us. There's a lot of history there. No, he was regularly at the. I mean, he goes to Broncos. Broncos games are like $5 tickets. Like it's like normal America. It's not Washington D.C. But
It's hard to take a Heineke over Rodgers take seriously though. But,
or
a
rich man's cousin. I
Kirk
couldn't
Cousins.
entirely
Hey,
follow the screaming.
there was a lot there that we will
There's a lot
unpack
there.
some other time, I think. So
When he can't respond in the chat, okay, we got.
Well, you got excited, and I was like, "Hey,
Hey.
come on the show for a few minutes." But
that was an awesome drop in. Awesome
that
drop
was
in.
honestly that's the kind of the last bit here that I wanted to do. Like later this week, we'll do like a full on preview. But I mean, right now, sitting here Monday night, Matt, who do you like in these matchups? What will the Super Bowl matchup be?
So I think it ends up Rams and Chiefs. I think I would prefer to see Rams and Bengals. I think I like the Chiefs, but I think I'd really want to see what Joe Burrow's made of. But I think at the end of the day, sorry, but I think it's Rams and Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs again. I hate it.
Okay. 20 picks for the weekend.
I'm going with my team. I'm gonna ride this ship out, and I'm going with Niners. And I really want to see Cincinnati, but I don't know. I know they could get it done, but I don't know if they will. But that's who I want to see. But I wouldn't be upset if it ended up being Chiefs-Rams, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was like 2 years ago when they played each other, and the game was like 54 to like 52 or something.
It was literally 100 to 100.
Yeah, and it was like one of the best regular season games I've ever seen. So if I can't get my team in the Super Bowl, I actually would like to see a good game in the Super Bowl. So I'm going with my team, and then I'm going with Cincinnati to make it to the Super Bowl.
Stevie, we know you got the Bengals.
You know where I'm going with that.
I know you got the Bengals. Are you going double upset? Think the 49ers can do it?
No,
not much of an upset, though. I feel like Kyle plays. Who gets the better of that matchup? Is it McVay or Shanahan?
McVay has not beaten Kyle Shanahan yet. Kyle Shanahan never. We beat the Rams 6 straight times.
You and the wee bit. It drives me insane.
McVay is an evil genius, man. I love that guy. Listen, I hate agreeing with LeBron, but defensive line, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, those boys are going to have a night. The Rams are going to win, and I'm riding the Bengals. It ain't the best team that wins. It's the hottest team. Right now, the Bengals playing with house money. Why not us? Who day? How many other phrases they got? Yeah. Bengals are going to win. Shock the nation. Why not us?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals, if they can somehow, I mean, all bets are off, obviously. If they challenge the Chiefs and win, I mean, they could beat the 49ers. They could certainly challenge the Rams. The Chiefs are a real test for them. I'm concerned for the Chiefs. I don't know how do you stay up for a game like this, right?
Yeah.
Like how do you mentally not think of the Bengals as the Bengals, right? How do you really prepare for this team that's scrappy, feisty?
Well, they kicked your butt a couple weeks ago, so I think that's how you get up.
Yeah.
Other thing we're sleeping on is Honey Badger. If he can, we just saw what the Bills just did to that back end of that defense without him.
Yes.
If he can't play, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, big day for them.
Well, even if he's there, Stevie, I mean, I think Jamar Chase is going to get his, right. It's the complementary pieces around, right? Can they get the other pieces involved in the game? Can Burrow can he play mistake-free football? I mean, there's a lot of questions. It's not impossible. I mean, nothing's impossible, right? They got to suit up and play, but I think the Chiefs are they're the better team. They may not be playing the best football. And I think, again, psychologically, I think you hit the nail for me, Stevie. The Bengals are playing with house money. Like they literally have achieved more. Their season goal was playoffs. Done. Now they've not only played in the play, not only did they qualify, they beat the number 1 seed, and now they get to go into Kansas City and challenge to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's tough to bet against them. We'll see. I don't know what the early line is here. I think it's Chiefs by 8. Is that right? I need to double check that, but that's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of points.
It's a lot. And I think the NFL really wants to pray for a weekend like we had. I mean, like, it would be a real disappointment if Chiefs Bengals.
It's impossible.
Doesn't live up.
That was the best weekend of football ever. It's impossible.
Close games, right? Like competitive games.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals, like, I mean, I think their offense is well suited. I just where I'm iffy on them is the defense and their ability to stop the Chiefs offense. I just don't think I don't think you can stop them. You can only hope to contain them. It's kind of
I feel like it's going to be a very similar game to what we saw yesterday.
yeah. I that would be the best. That'd be our best hope.
I think in my heart, I want to see the best possible Super Bowl, which would be Rams and Chiefs. In reality, I think the 49ers are streaking here. They're playing sound defense. Debo is almost unguardable. And Jimmy generally plays mistake-free football. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he doesn't make mistakes. I mean, he plays mistake-free.
No, he definitely makes his fair share of mistakes. We just get super lucky.
I don't recall him having how many interceptions this weekend.
He had 1 interception, 0 touchdowns, obviously.
No problem. I also like the idea of the Washington football team bringing Jimmy G in as a Super Bowl winner.
Yes.
So I like that too, right? Because I think that's where we're heading in Washington is to the Jimmy G sweepstakes. We'll take it, especially if he just won the Super Bowl. Yes, please. Thank you so much. That would be very helpful. Although you could certainly argue that the hunger would be gone. Yeah, in that case. But
coming into these playoffs, I definitely had a Chris Berman hat on where I wanted Bills and Niners. I don't know if you remember, I used to pick the Bills and Niners every year.
Circling the wagons.
Yeah,
nobody circles the wagons.
I was hoping Bills and Niners. There's a bit of nostalgia in that, but man, the Bills not being in, honestly, there's a little bit of disappointment, I think, in everyone's. The Bills really were the draw for me in this playoffs. And,
honestly, if the NFL is listening, instead of redoing the overtime rules, do all the teams qualify and then reseed them cross conference, so we can actually end up with the two best teams in the Super Bowl, right? Put the Bills and the Chiefs opposite each other.
Chris Berman dead?
No. His wife dead. His wife died.
His wife died?
No, his wife died. Yeah.
You think it's Madden? I think.
No.
I know Madden. I know Madden, and I know TJ dunked off. His partner.
Chris Berman's still alive. Yeah, Tom Jackson passed. Chris Berman's still alive, but his wife passed.
Tom Jackson didn't pass.
Tom Jackson.
Really?
Get your Denver boy a bomb. Tom Jackson.
RIP.
Dead.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Is that why Booger stepped in?
I think Tom Jackson had throat cancer.
Oh, dude.
So he died.
That's really sad. I didn't know that.
Tom Jackson's dead.
Wait, did he? Hold on now.
Tom Jackson's definitely dead. And I think Chris Berman might be dead too.
No.
Why are you killing everybody, man?
Dude, it doesn't look like he's dead.
He's not dead. Steve, what are you talking about?
Tom Jackson?
No.
Yeah.
No. They did like a tribute for him or something.
No, I think you're killing off everybody.
He's not dead, man. He's not dead. Oh my God, Stevie. The amount of editing we'll have to do to this episode is tremendous.
That's news to me, okay?
I don't know why I thought, it's funny because at first I was like, yeah, Tom Jackson passed. I thought he did die too. Clearly, Steve and I watch the same credible news networks.
All right. Everyone's around. Okay,
Take it
good.
easy, Alex. Take it easy. Just calm down. Any final thoughts? 20.
Go Niners.
Any final thoughts? Matt the Met. Is the baseball lockout over?
No. Hall of Fame decision coming tomorrow. That's disappointing. We could do a show on that one.
Pete Rose going to make it
in? Dude, I need the writers to get off their high horses and just let the best players into the Hall of Fame. I think it's stupid.
Matt. Current events here, brother. Current events. Is the lockout? I feel like they're getting closer. I know they were negotiating today.
I know I thought the players were supposed to present something today. I haven't seen any.
I heard the players made some concessions.
Okay. I think spring training gets delayed. I think spring training gets delayed. I think they shorten the season. I think especially kind of with COVID and everything else, they use that as an excuse to kind of buy time.
It's over. Get out of here. The NFL stopped testing. They lost interest after they ruined the Washington season.
Clearly, once you've got into Omicron, it's not real anymore, right? Like, how many more letters are left in the?
It's just scary because they gave it a name. Get out of
here. But I think we'll see the DH for sure. I think that's coming. I think that'll be fun for baseball. I think that'll be a nice change. I think that'll change the way we talk about Mets and Nats. I think going forward.
Are they doing away with the runner on second base bit?
I think that's going to stay. I think to Stevie's point, I think it adds a little bit of entertainment for the overtime portion, but everybody gets a chance, Stevie. So everybody gets
That's
up
true.
once. Yeah,
No, they get rid of that DH, or they bring in the DH permanently. Ryan Zimmerman has got a home here in Washington
He's
for the
got a
next
home-
10
that's
years.
Well, I mean,
That's all you
Legit,
need.
like legitimately.
only
Mr.
batting,
Consistent.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's it.
just batting.
yeah. But baseball talk, basketball talk. Well, let's see. But NFL's not dead yet. But something died yesterday. It was both amazing and a bit of a letdown that the
It's
Bills.
a
are
harsh
gone.
realization that the end is near.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best weekend of football. Stevie, besides the sandwich shop and your pizza outings, there's a lot of free plugs coming from you. But what else you got?
Biden had a hot mic moment today.
You're the last one still listening.
Hey, you got to give him credit. He heard the guy's question.
I will not.
He knew he was from Fox News and was able to appropriately identify him as a stupid SOB.
You think he did it on purpose, or
No, he doesn't do anything.
No,
He's 90
don't-
years old. He just
How do
says
you
what he's
know
thinking.
He doesn't get out of bed on purpose,
Stream
brother.
of consciousness. There's no thinking. There's no advanced planning. There's no diabolical plan. He's just an old man saying what he's thinking.
how does he not know it's a hot mic? I don't understand. How? Never mind.
Hey, give him props that he heard the question. Okay.
I mean, listen, there's people on this show that are literally 1/3 of his age that don't understand the concept of a hot mic. So don't worry about, it happens, okay? It happens.
The guy speaking, I think, is who you're talking about.
It happens. But Stevie, I mean, this is
That's it. That's all I got, Joe. What else do you want? It's the dead of winter here, brother. There's nothing going on.
there's some good
COVID's
TV.
killing
You're not
everything.
watching any good trashy TV? You're not watching Joe Millionaire?
I might go watch
Next
Yumi
Level
and
Chef?
Dupree in a little bit. Little Owen Wilson throwback.
Ozark
Reddit.
season 4.
I'm not a Jason Bateman guy. I feel like I need to be, but I can't be.
He's excellent in Ozark. Excellent. Really.
I've
good.
watched the
Just-
opening like 15 minutes several times of episode 1, where he's like he's watching himself in porn or something to that effect. Like I think I don't know
No.
what he's watching, but like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't. I don't know.
Hey,
Failed to
when,
watch
when-
it.
when are the junks going to get off the air? Or the junkies?
Never.
They just did like this 25-year expose on them. How do we get them off the air?
Why would you want them off the air? What are we gonna listen to in the morning?
Come on.
I actually
They're
just
past their
finished the
prime.
book. I just finished JP's book. Still Barking.
He had to have a ghost writer on that one. There's no way he wrote that book.
No, he definitely wrote it. There's a lot of like passive writing in it. There's no way a professional writer wrote that book.
He's a lawyer.
By
He's
the
a
way, you
smart
want to
one.
speak about books? You want to talk about books? For those that are looking for something in the spiritual, religious world, which really has nothing to do with this show,
Oh,
there's a 4-part series book,
Here we go.
4-part book.
Are you on the Elements kick too?
Oh.
boy.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yo.
say elements.
That book was literally written for every male born in the lands of immigration. Okay, I'll just say it that way.
You want to talk about Ghost Rider? He needed a Ghost Rider. That book is rough, man.
And
I have my
for all I know, it's FRB writing that beast. Okay, I don't know. That is awesome. It's awesome. Awesome.
I have similar theories on who's written.
Have you read it, Matt?
Yeah.
Have you worked through it?
No, I've heard. See, I'm not a guy who jumps on everything that everybody loves. Everybody, you got to read Elements. Got to read Elements. I was like, I'll get to it when eventually, but like, it's life changing, and people are crying through it, and all kinds of stuff. And
Well, sometimes things
like,
can just be good without any other.
sometimes I'm not about a craze. Like anytime I see a craze around anything, I tend to have.
I'm aware of
skepticism.
the craze. I'm not fueling the craze, but I am enjoying the series.
I've heard your name as one of the people as like
Not
Joe
for me.
Israel's read it. I'm like, what? When do I
Not
read
for
what
me.
Joe reads?
Name drop. Oh.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah. So
No, but it's nice.
Anyway.
Like Stevie said, it's
No,
the
I've
dead
heard
of
it-
winter.
I've heard good things.
Sometimes you just got to fire up the Kindle and just do something a little different.
I actually do plan to read it. I just can't get to it yet.
It's the Egyptian
I mean, Still
version.
Barking was really good. I mean, I mean, I thought that book was really good. I actually read about half of Dan Blazarian's book. For those that know who Dan Blazarian is, the setup that book it's literally like a textbook, but highly entertaining. That one was definitely written by a ghostwriter. What else did I read recently? I read Soccernomics, which was pretty interesting about soccer, FIFA corruption.
When are we gonna bring back a soccer show?
Very soon. We got the World Cup in November.
Yeah.
Got the AFCON going on right now.
I mean, AFCON I don't care about. World Cup though, listen, next November is going to be a special time. We're going to have like peak football, beginning basketball, beginning hockey, and the World Cup, and EPL and other leagues all going at the same time. You know, although we do get the Olympics here in a week, if I'm not mistaken. We get the Winter Olympics. People don't get so geeked up about the Winter Olympics, but
oh, you mean like on TV we get them? I heard we're trying to make a bid here in DC for the World Cup.
yeah, Brandon's going hard for it.
Well, and then they just declared FedEx.
We don't have a stadium.
Not eligible.
Yeah.
FedEx. Nobody. What are they going to do in FedEx?
They're going to try to play games there, and they decided they can't.
Have you been to Audi Field? Audi Field's very nice.
Audi's awesome.
It's pretty nice.
I want to go to the Go-Go Stadium. Apparently, that's the spot down at St. Elizabeth. Steve, have you been?
Yeah, that's where I got vaccinated. And I've been there.
They
for
did like AEW
things.
just did out like a wrestling house show there, and it was packed. It was like 4,000 or 5,000 people.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the Wizards practice facility.
It's also the Mystics primary facility.
Yeah, and the
Where
Go-Go.
And the Go-Go.
St. Elizabeth's down
It's
in
the Looney Bin. It's where the
former Looney Bin. Yeah,
former Looney Bin.
Ted Leonsis. That's his spot. Okay.
All right, boys. Final thoughts. 1, 2, 3. Actually, we already did that. So let's call it a show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This has been DTC Defeating the Curse. Thank you, Matt the Met. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you, 20. It was a great weekend of football. Thank you to everyone that hung out, and for Abram for joining us for a crazy 3-minute hit. That was unexpected, but very enjoyable. Thank you so much. For anybody that's following the show, DTC can be found on the Contender Network on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can find us on Apple, on Google, on Spotify, on TuneIn, on Odyssey, on anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also listen live on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, basically everywhere. Just type in.
Do you think
DTC
Abram is watching us on all of those?
Defeating the Curse. That'd be awesome. We love him for it. But thank you all for joining us. Until next time, my name is Joe. We are out.
Peace.